All right. Well, I think we're live. Wait for some people to jump on. Hey, we got coming on. These are start scaling up slowly. Should be. Hey, Berto, how you doing, man? Oh, we got Gary here. See how this works.
All right.
We've got some audio.
Let's see. Says it's coming.
Yeah, it'll work.
Says it can see us, but it's
Yeah. Hang on, see if it's on my side.
I'm sure it's over here.
Come in. Andy has a note. A couple of M is damaged. Dude, I'm sorry, man. You know, it's rare that we get shipping damage. It can happen. Those things are actually packaged incredibly well. If something comes in damaged, if it looks damaged, don't sign for it. Give it back to them. If not, just contact customer service and they'll swap them right out. You know, no questions, no ifs, ands, or buts.
Tom, I'm going to sign out and I'm gonna hit the link again. See what happens.
All right, man. Let's do this one. So we're working Gary up and running. It is Friday and time for gun lunch. Today I've got some chicken and arugula. My wife got arugula for salad. Let me tell you, it's really close to the taste of hate. But all right, so we got Gary trying to get in. I still don't see his camera working. That's strange. I don't see the camera working, Gary.
Yeah, I don't know either. Let me I just did a test on YouTube. It was working, but of course when it's game time, let's play.
Hang on.
Play ball.
Let me just do a few things here. If I can do remove sole layout, edit mic settings. Yeah, I don't have any control over video. I got control over all.
No, sure. Hold on, we're gonna try one more thing. Probably gonna lose you. I'll jump back on.
You know, I can create a new invite, I think. I just sent a new one out. So guys, we're working through some tech, which is, we're still new to this whole thing, but if you followed SecureIt or me or anybody else around this company, you know that we prefer to not be hyper polished and be a little more, raw and direct. I think that's lacking in America and a lot of the world right now. It's all about sound bites. And we're not about that. No one can do their job anymore, and the excuse is always COVID. That's from Berto. You are correct. It's an amazing excuse for not actually executing and getting something done.
All right. Let me.
All right, so disconnected that, and we're gonna go. All right, guys, we're still figuring this out, but anybody's got any questions, now's the time to ask. We're waiting for Gary Melton to come on. Gary is he's the president owner of Paramount Tactical. He was a first group special forces sergeant, Marine sniper team leader, and did, I believe, 4 tours. Runs a great training center. I've driven down for 2 of his courses, and it's a bit of a drive for him, but it's worth it. I make the drive because he runs a good program. So we're trying to make this work, and it can be frustrating, but we'll get it figured out. So now we're just adding. I just realized that wasn't done. So we are now going live on LinkedIn and on Facebook. So we are, oh, I got you, Gary. Boom.
There we are.
Technology.
Look at that.
Technology. How you been?
It actually works.
It did. Uh-oh, we glitched.
Oh.
So, guys, it's we'll get the show going today. I've got Gary Melton, president and owner of Paramount Tactical, as a guest today. I'm excited about it. I don't know, Gary, we met what, about 4 years ago?
4 or 5 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
We had the NRA had a press about they were wanting to run some tactical courses. After doing a lot of vetting and looking at a lot of different companies, that came to us, and we developed the curriculum and ran tactical carbine courses, some tactical medicine courses that we did for them before they shut down the NRA Outdoors division, which was their training division. So we parted ways with them, but you guys came to one of those and then come over the courses, and it's been a great thing. So great to see you and your boys.
It was.
Your boys grow up.
Yeah, we came down.
Man, they're
and,
so big.
I look back at those pictures, and Charlie was just he looks so little now. He just went to college this year. It's amazing how fast it goes. But and then we came back down for the long range precision. And just so viewers, you guys, between me and Paramount, I'm going to say there's 8 training facilities we could stop at. It's a 6-hour drive for us. We make the drive because Gary runs a better. I mean, in your world, Gary, there's a lot of crazy ego training centers out there. There's a lot of stuff out there that gets, I don't know, I call it high testosterone. You guys run, I mean, it's just, the knowledge is good. It's just entertaining fun. It just is. It's a good time.
The intent there is to have a good time. Everybody learns better when you're, I was really fortunate because when I got out of the military and I got out, my last tour in Afghanistan was in we came back at the middle of 2011. And I decided at that point to get out of the military. I was with 1st Special Forces Group. I got out. I took a job as a special tactics instructor for a federal agency. And that's what brought me out to, we're now in West Virginia, but really we're an hour and a half from DC. So I was working in the DC area as a special tech instructor. I did that for a couple of years, and then I ended up taking over another unit, standing up a unit, doing some training. But I really got bored with the government work. And luckily, I had access to a lot of guys that not only had the operational experience, but had the instructor experience, right? So I think both of those are really important, and both of those are really rare, right? You either have guys out there that are teaching that really have no context, have never done anything that they're right, talking. Folks are good at what they do, but they're just not instructors, And what's fortunate is whether it's myself and every single one of our cadre, whether it's on the medical side or on the tactics and firearm side, all those guys have real world experience, but they have literally trained thousands of people and at a very high level, So, they're just good at articulating concepts and bringing that across. And there is no ego, right? We're there to have a good time. We're there to share our knowledge and experience. And, I think ego is used to cover up inexperience, but also insecurities. I think they project that ego so that you don't start questioning them too much. And we want the mindset and methodology, right? We want you to ask why. Why do we do this? If they can't answer why we're doing something, then go somewhere else.
I agree. It's what amazed me is when I took the first class is I kind of viewed these things as localized events, and there were people from all over the country at that event, at that course. That'd be guys from Seattle, from Colorado.
Yep.
So guys, I mean, when you're looking at training, I'll put it out there is make it a getaway. You don't have to drive down. Get a getaway for you and the wife. Go out and get some good training, and it's a great setting, and it's a memorable weekend. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and and bring the wife. We have lots of folks. I will say, I would bet you 75% of our clients are from 4 hours or more away. And that's just, and I would say probably 25% of our clients, are we think you're going to see, like you said, I believe it's worth a trip. And I know we're tooting our own horn, but, and it's not me tooting my horn, it's me tooting my guys' horns, right? It's because every single one of our instructors, again, they got the operational experience. They're federal law enforcement and training accredited certified instructors. They've had formalized training when it comes to the instructional portion of that. And I just, again, it's not because I'm so great. It's because I was put in a really fortunate situation, right? And so having gone, and that's why I started Paramount. When I was in special operations, I got to go to a lot of training. I went down to Blackwater all the time. When I was doing other things, even with on the federal law enforcement side, we'd go to other courses that we're paying big money for. And folks, they get into such a check the block type of thing. I'll never forget, I was down in Blackwater, and we had sent our entire company down there. And so we had not only all the A teams, the operators there, but we also had all of our support folks there. And I'll never forget, there was a very famous instructor running the training. He was in the back of a truck with a bullhorn. Basically he was saying, shooter ready, Right. That was the extent of what he was doing, but he had a big name behind him. So they paid a bunch of money to go to Blackwater down there. And there was a guy, there was a bunch of run the line. There was a guy next to me. We were at 5 yards shooting rifles, and we were shooting a 6-inch black dot, and he couldn't get his rounds in that 6-inch black dot at 5 yards with the rifle. So he was having some problems. I'll never forget, the instructor came up behind me, went to this guy and said, "Hey, man, tighten up your shot group." And he walked away. It's like, this kid is doing everything he can. He's doing the absolute best that he can. And that's what we get. I know we were paying over $1,000 a day per person for that. So, that left a big impression on me. And that's not something that we want to do. We want to make sure that we guarantee you're going to leave much improved, right? And have a good time doing it too. So bring your family, bring your kids, bring your wife. It'll be an experience that you'll never forget. And, just like the times that you guys have come, those are literally when they're out there with their grandkids, they'll remember that time. They'll be talking about that time that, Dad took me to, that rifle course down in West Virginia or whatever it is. So those are times that won't be forgotten.
The shameless dad bragging. I believe at the first course we took, Colton won top shot. And at the second course we took, my son Charlie won top shot.
He did. They both did. Yeah. Man, they just, and I don't think they had really ran. And, this is for those of you watching, that was a very, I'm careful to say this, but by the culmination drill, which is where you can win Top Gun and you get a cup, we engrave a cup for you. It's just a gun, a really big deal. But they're up against some good shooters, and it's very intensive, and it's all about making good decisions. We do some, basically we're throwing in as much decision making as we are actual shooting, right? Because that's what really wins gunfighting, being able to think during a gunfight, not necessarily because you're so good at. No, it is.
And that's where the kids excel. I came into it with a conference that had me basically shooting innocent targets that were standing behind the bad guys because I was so tunnel vision. And the kids, the younger guys, come in and just basically remember what you said.
They just apply what we said and don't just we have so many people have a conditioned response where they see a target and they shoot. And the reality is, I think most people, let's take a church setting, for instance. I think a lot of people, you could have the kids choir up there in front of a bunch of people, threaten a gun, start shooting. And now between me, we got a bad guy, we got the church choir, kids choir up there. A lot of people will just pull that gun and shoot. And, that is not the right answer. We got to make sure that we always have a clear shot. And, one of the firearms safety rules is, make sure you identify your target and what's beyond it. But we don't do that. And again, some of the training that when we're putting you into judgmental shooting situations, definitely clear.
Yeah,
that was a good time, man. Hopefully,
hey,
we'll get them back.
I got a couple questions coming in for you. First off, does Gary have a website? Yes, he does, which is it's just
ParamountTactical.com. Yeah, ParamountTactical.com. Go check that out.
Shameless plug. I was shopping for tripods about 3 weeks ago, and I'm on Google, and one of Gary's videos came up. And so I called him and said, "Do you have these in stock?" And so I've got one of the death grips. I bought 2 of them. They got one sitting right behind me here. The other one's got a crossbow at my ranch. And so it's a good site. It's everything on that site has been, I'm going to say, Gary tested, which is battle tested. It's all good stuff. Other question we got is, and it's a good question. If there's one training course you'd recommend over others for people who don't take a lot of training or who haven't, the question posed: what do you recommend for the one course to take over others?
The number one course that you should take, everybody should take, and I get this question a lot, right? So we get questions all the time. People that are wanting to get into firearms, hey, what's the first thing I should step? First thing you should do is come to one of our medical courses. We have a traumatic injury response courses. We actually have one in 2 weeks. I believe it's September 15th this year. So we are one of the few companies in the United States, I think 2 on the East Coast, 1 of 2 on the East Coast. We actually spend a lot of time, a lot of energy getting NAEMT certified. So that's National Association of Emergency Medical Technicians. So with our course, unlike a lot of others that are being promoted out there, you get a nationally recognized 3-year certification. And we have all these combat veterans. These are all our med staff. Most of them are special operation veterans. All of them have that real world experience. But between the NA and sides, and then what we throw in as far as that real world experience, we want to teach you how to save a life. And we've literally trained at this point tens of thousands of people on firearms. I've yet to have somebody call me up and say, "Hey, Gary, I had to use my firearm today to save my life, my kid's life." Hopefully one day we'll be able to have that testimony. But just 2 years ago, we had somebody leave one of our courses, live rural across, jumped out there, assessed the casualty. The guy actually had a severed, one leg was completely severed, one leg was partially severed. He used the kit and the training, the trauma kit that we provided, and the training, and without a doubt, he saved that guy's life. So, med training, the number one cause of death in the nation is traumatic injury, from many different, and that's between the ages of 1 to 44. The course is taken. The fact is, if you're carrying a gun, you need that course because it may be your life that you save. If you're not carrying a gun or you can't carry a gun, you need that course so you have those skills and equipment. Because if you're serious about saving lives, that's the course we recommend. And I can't recommend that enough.
Yeah, that's I need to get down for the class. I mean, look, it's one of those things that I really need to take that course. So I've got to look. Now, are you running another one of those classes later this year?
I have to look at the calendar. And the other thing, too, is we were, obviously, with everything going on, our calendar is a little lighter than it normally is. And we've been kind of trying to balance, just with everything going on. I think we're going to end up adding some additional courses before the end of the year. And especially with the med courses, obviously, we're here in the kind of the DC area. So it gets pretty cold. It gets to a point where people don't want to be out there shooting guns. Right. But we tend to run a few more med courses in the winter, and that's an easy push. So we'd love to have you guys out, and go to our website if you need hotel accommodations and whatever you need. We're pretty used to helping folks with that, so we'd love to have you out. And whether you're doing some shooting or doing some med courses with us, we'd love to have you.
It's a cool place down there. It's you live in a neat area, I'll tell you that.
We did
covered a lot of questions today. I guess the talking point today, that something that I get asked a lot is, and I'm not the expert. I always tell people, once, as far as storage goes, I'm your guy. Once the gun's in your hand, I'm not. So, what is the best firearm for home defense, or what should the first gun you buy, if you're concerned about personal safety and you're looking at firearms, what's the best way to go?
Well, that's a pretty loaded question, right?
It is, but it's the one that I asked.
I would say the firearm that you have at least 3,000 to 5,000 rounds of training, supervised, formalized training on.
But we know that doesn't happen.
I will immediately. What's that?
We know that doesn't happen. We know that people go out, they're like, they get worried, they get concerned, and they go out and they buy a handgun, and they got 2 boxes of ammo. They go to the range and they shoot half of one box, and they go home. I see it all the time.
In my personal opinion, I think the best home defense gun, and I got a video on this. I talk about the best home defense gun and ammo. Is I really believe that, and the reason being, and immediately, and you got to have some context to that, because a lot of people out there are like, "Oh my God, you're going to shoot through walls," right? That's always the over penetration argument. If you buy the right ammunition, you with an AR, you will not shoot through walls. You will not over penetrate. Let me clarify. You will over penetrate less than you will with a lot of other rounds that people talk about, whether we're talking about handgun rounds, whether we're talking about a shotgun. Typically, that's one of the things that people say, you want a shotgun. I disagree with that wholeheartedly for lots of different reasons. Again, we got a video. I kind of go through that. So the video, actually, you need to think, Tom, maybe you and I need to get together and redo such a video, and I think that would be really good. But there's a reason why, because again, I know the pervasive argument is there's a reason why entry teams, whether we're talking about military or law enforcement, there's a reason why we don't use shotguns to clear a house, or when we're doing close quarters combat or CQB, and that's what home defense is, right? It's nothing more than CQB. So there's a reason why we don't use shotguns. The things that we use shotguns for typically is for breaching. Shotguns have a lot excessive recoil. And again, but most think that you kind of gently point a shotgun in a direction that's going to spread way out. In 3 to 5 yards, most shotguns without a choke at all, with buckshot, you're talking, a spread of an inch or two at most. Right. So anyways, we'll keep it short. An AR-15, I recommend an AR-15. That's America's gun. Woo, oh yeah.
It's funny because the people I talk to, and I don't come from the gun side. I'm not that guy, but I've got a lot of people, they buy a handgun, and I told them, they always back saying, I recommend an AR-15 just because it's easier to be proficient. It requires less rounds per month to be proficient. And their argument comes back to, I'm not a gun guy. I don't want to be a gun guy. I just want a gun a little bit. So I'm going to buy a little gun. So I'm just getting my toes wet. And it's just like, who is it? I think it was Mickey Shook over a carry trainer made the analogy. He says they want their 16-year-old kid to learn how to drive. You don't buy them a Ferrari. You don't. I mean, a small gun is hard to operate. I'm not a handgun guy. I don't like handguns personally. That's not my choice. But I see people doing it for the mentality.
So first of all, the smaller the gun. No, absolutely. So, and that's another myth right? So the smaller the gun, the more skill it requires to shoot it well. We just of course, shooters. There's a couple of females in the course, which was really great. And their significant others had gotten them, small compact guns. And I was like, you're not shooting that. This is a level 1 course. And then I demonstrated them. I let them shoot it. And then I put a full-size gun in their hand. A smaller gun is harder to hold on to. It has more recoil. It has a shorter sight radius, so it's much harder to shoot. Handguns are hard to shoot under stress period. So handguns are harder to shoot under stress period, but definitely we get into some of those subcompacts or micro compacts, and they're very, very difficult to shoot without a doubt. So the larger the gun, and that's why AR-15, it is easy to shoot. It's easy to control. We have, I let up to as young as 11, 12-year-olds take some of our carbine courses if they demonstrate the ability to do so, and they can handle that gun. Females, they can handle AR-15 really well. It's ergonomic. It's pretty hard to shoot yourself with a rifle. It's pretty easy to shoot yourself under stress with one of these, right? So, and just so everybody knows, this is disassembled, so I'm not just, waving around a gun in a barrel. So yeah, an AR-15, home defense, put a flashlight on it, get ready to go. Use the right ammo, and you'll be good.
And as far as you recommend a red dot or a non-powered?
And I'll tell you, because we're going to kind of be addressing some of those, but absolutely. Looks like I lost my feed here. You still hear me?
There? Yeah.
Okay, good. My screen went blank. Yeah, so
there's a little
either a red dot
latency, but it's working.
Yeah. Either a red dot or I also just did a video on if you want a rifle that's going to kind of do it all. The other thing I would recommend is like a 1 to 4, 6, or 8 power low variable power optic. That's a great option too. But just for home defense, if I was going to have a rifle just for home defense, it would be a rifle with a red dot and a flashlight on it. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what I keep. Next to my bed. It's one of the, we're working on handgun storage right now. We're targeting February release. And it's been that's been a real challenge for us because we don't want to make a knockoff. We don't want to copy anybody else. We finally have a solution that we believe can be a game changer. But one of the things that's kind of kept us out of the market is metals. I don't own handguns. I live in New York State. I don't have a handgun license in New York State. In fact, I'm taking the course, the New York State course, in a couple of weeks here to actually move forward. But to get a handgun, you're gonna love this in New York State. It's gonna take me 18 months.
Oh, I believe
it is ridiculous in the state, but given the bureaucracy and the pain in the ass, and I'm more comfortable with longer barrels. It just never happened, but that's something's going to happen this fall, and so I'll have to come down and do once I get through the very basics, come down and take a class and actually learn how to be more proficient.
Yeah, we'd love to have you out. It'd be a lot of fun.
It's good stuff. So, what do we have for questions? Oh, questions posted. False. The best home defense gun is a Benelli M4 because I have one and it was too expensive for it to be not the best option. That's a fun answer, but
I completely agree with you. I know you spend a lot of time and money on that thing, so you're right. I will stroke your ego a little bit, make you feel better about said purchase.
Summer posted. Next traumatic injury course is September 18th, 19th. For anybody interested, I'm going to be actually going to London with my son, getting him squared away for college. I may look at the next one after that because I do want to do that. I think it's important. You got to walk the walk if you're going to talk the talk kind of stuff. You're still working.
Yeah,
okay.
And we make that course a lot of fun too. Again, and they learn some real life skills and had a lot of fun doing it. So you'll have a good time with that as well.
See if I get the time to do it with me. I don't know. She may do that. We'll see. So guys, any questions at all? Do not hesitate to type. This is your opportunity. I'll answer any question. I don't care what you guys want to talk about. This is your time. We'll say industry call out today. Every week, or every 2 weeks, we do the show. I always try to get something in the industry. One of the things SecureIt's trying to do is drive change. There's a lot of parts of the firearms and the storage and this whole industry that I don't like. I think need to change. I've heard a lot of other people. I was on John Bartolo's show a month and a half ago, and he's extremely outspoken. But today's call out is capacity, and we all deal with it. If you own a gun safe, you know what I'm talking about. You buy your Liberty Fat Boy Jr. holds 40 guns. And I'd challenge anybody, I'd love to see a video shot of going down to a safe distributor take 20 guns with you to buy a 20 gun safe and actually test it. And just to have the salesman go through.
You might want to call ahead and coordinate that though first.
Because it is humorous though. And years ago, I met with those guys to look at licensing agreements, and I brought up the capacity issue, and their head of sales said, this is our industry's little white lie. We all do it. We say 40 because if we say 38 and our competitor says 40, people are going to buy that safe. That was the argument made to me, so they all do it. Doesn't make it right. And I think the consumer is smarter than that. I think what they're saying is, people who buy our product really aren't that bright, or really they're not paying attention, and nobody owns 40 guns anyhow. I don't know. It's
right.
I find it frustrating, and
pretty sure I own 40 guns, Tom. I wouldn't say that out loud or anything, but
yeah. Well, as everybody knows, most of my firearms sunk in a boating. I had a boating accident and lost most of my magazines and firearms. As we all know,
I think in West Virginia it's illegal not to own at least 10. I think that's the
it's right interesting. I had the conversation yesterday, in fact, with someone who was talking about remember what state they brought up. Said, you know, you don't need to have a permit to get a handgun in some state. And I said, there's a whole lot of states that you don't need to get a permit. And you had no idea. I'm like, I go, continue your research. What you're going to find is those are also the states with probably the lowest handgun or gun crime in the country. And it's, the regulations have nothing to do. And it's not that less regulation means less crime. It's less population density means less crime. you packed everybody into, I mean, that's what it seems like to me. It's these urban environments where everybody's packed in together causes a lot of stress. And that's, as I read the tea leaves, I don't know, I mean, that's not based on a whole lot of research at this point. Wow.
You know, without a doubt, you know, it has to do with culture. It has to do with has to do with a lot of things. You know, you can also there's a direct correlation between two-parent homes and gun crime, without a doubt. That is probably one of the most direct correlations between gun crime is definitely you know, whether or not two-parent homes. So
I agree.
Let's see, two-parent homes. So there's a lot that goes into that. But yeah, I digress. Go ahead.
No, I'll say I did a quite a few years ago. I actually did it was a speech. It was a talking thing, but my topic was that, and it was, I actually pulled up graphs, and you can do the research. You run out the chart showing education and earning power by race and minorities in America, and it lays out for this chart. You can do crime by minority and by and it lays out by all the different groups. You look at those two charts, then do the chart raised by single parent by minority and group. Yeah, I do it that because that's the only way to really pull it. Actually, see the data. Those three charts are the same. I mean, they're almost exactly identical. And I've talked about it, and I had one person say that what I was saying was very racist, because it's not.
Sure.
In the African American community, you've got 1 out of 10 children are raised with a mother and a father. Top of the chart is Asian for minority group, and that's just the opposite, 9 out of 10. And all the groups fall in there, and education earning versus the opposite, violence and crime, they're identical. And to not draw that conclusion is crazy, but right now we've got, there's a political group out there that wants conflict. They want this war. They want 100%. What's going on in the city. And I'm not sure long-term why. I see short-term, the short-term games of divide and conquer and keep people in little groups fighting. Long-term, I'm not sure. It seems scary.
Well, you know, I hate to bring it up because it's used so much, but, you know, you take Chicago, for instance, you know, they want the problem, not the solution. You know, I think that's the problem, is that you have lots of politicians that promote these anti-gun, and they're also attached to a lot of other socialist policies. If they get rid of the problem, they no longer have a platform. They no longer have the power. So they continue to create the problem. They know what the problem is. And, you know, so I mean, that's the end. I mean, that's the beginning and the end of the whole thing. They want people to be dependent on the government. They want the idea of gun crime because, again, they can use that as a tool to fight against their opposition that believe differently, right? So it's not necessarily, ultimately, one of the biggest problems that you have guns that are naturally tied to conservative values, conservative principles, conservative policies. And then you have a lot of reasons that are tied to, we might as well just say, the socialist policies, right? So those are definitely tied together, and sometimes they're used separately, but also they're against them because they are so closely tied together, right? So, and honestly, me personally, I'll be honest with you, I'm almost a completely one issue voter. And what I will say is the people that agree with me on that one issue of firearms agree with me on most economic policies as well. So,
I agree.
You know, just like it's tied together for me, those same issues are tied together with a lot of other people. And then you can get into the idea that I think ultimately people want Americans disarmed because that's ultimately, you see just how militant some of our politicians are getting. I think this, hopefully people are waking up. You know, this COVID, even me, you know, I'm hard to shock when it comes to what government and the left side of the government are capable of. And to see how militant and openly militant they are against their own fellow citizens just simply disagree with is it's actually been a wake up call even for me. And I just came back from Australia, and you see what's going on over there. I was shocked by what was happening over there. I really was. I couldn't believe, folks. It felt like a police state over there.
Yeah, and is it being driven by a power grab, or is it being driven by fear?
No, the power grab is being driven by fear. And it always goes back to is that the left is very good at capitalizing, ironically, on tragedy, right? So they're going to capitalize on the tragedy. They're going to, again, look how much more control.
As COVID winds down, are people going to wake up? Yeah, I just don't know. Oh, I think I've got a freeze out. We may have lost Gary. Gary, I'm not sure I've got your feed. Woody, I got to answer a quick question. I think Gary may have lost internet. I'm not sure. The question came in: what do you recommend for bedroom or bedside firearm storage? Well, we carry the fast box, which is what I use. It holds a rifle, holds a shotgun, it'll hold a handgun, some ammunition. It's very fast access. Importantly, it's silent access, and it makes no beeps. There's no lights, and I think that's important. But the important thing is to make sure firearms are secured. The other side of it is just because it's locked doesn't mean you can't get to it extremely quickly. Gary, you're back. I'm not sure. We kind of froze out there for a minute.
I didn't know. So we lost connection. But what I was saying was, 2 years ago, if anyone would have told me that the American people would have put up with us shutting down organized religion for a year, I would have told you you're crazy. But they did it. So
I know it's. But is the fear real? That's the thing. And I know people who are generally they're quite scared of what's happening, of COVID, of the risk. And is it? I'm not going to. You can't debate is that real or not. You can't. It's. No. But
no, obviously it's real. Does the reaction justify the risk? And that's obvious. And here's the thing: is that is a very personal decision, right? If you're, a lot of people die from driving around in cars, but we take a certain calculated risk, and some of us decide to drive. Some of us don't want to drive because of that risk or for whatever other reasons. But the problem is all of that is a personal choice, and that is the key to this issue: is that personal choice of what risk that you want to personally take is being taken away from you, and you're being demonized in the process. So that is the heart of this entire issue, and that's the debate that has to be had. Yeah. May have lost you again, Tom. You there? Mm-hmm. Did I lose you, Tom? Tom, are you there? All right, folks. I think we lost Tom there for a minute. I'm sure he'll be back, I think. Now I feel like I'm shooting a video. It's weird just talking to a camera because you don't know what to do with your hands, right? Folks, if you can hear me, hopefully Tom will be back with us in a second. But if you have any questions or anything like that, please put those down below. Be happy to answer those as soon as he comes back. So everyone, how about that Afghanistan withdrawal, huh? How'd that go? All right, let me see if I can look at these. Let me see. So I think there's still a feed on my end. I can't really tell what's going on. But one of the things, so a group of officers from the NYPD Counterterrorism Bureau, they come train with us pretty regularly. And just so happens, he had no idea that I was doing this, but just so happens he sent me a text message going back to the med side. Come on in, bud. All right. But I said, hey, Gary, I'm not going to say who it is, from NYPD Counterterrorism Bureau. Just want to let you know that I ended up using one of the tourniquets I bought from you and my wife. She was cleaning water out of the basement from the storm and picked up a glass bottle and moved it out of the way. She slipped and fell and it cut her very badly. She was bleeding everywhere and came and got me, and we put the tourniquet on her. I keep the the tourniquet that we were talking about on my gun safe. So I grabbed it. I put it on her. A few minutes later, I put another tourniquet above it to be extra safe. But when we got to the hospital, the tourniquet was so tight, the doctor had to cut it off. Just want to let you know. Thanks for the training and the tourniquet. Be safe. So, especially when you guys, for those of you that tune in from New York right now, probably emergency services are a little unable to get to you. You got to be self-sufficient. Same thing with everybody down south. You got to be self-sufficient. So my wife was watching this on well, come over here, babe.
On YouTube.
All right. She was watching this on YouTube. She said there's some, I can't see it through the thing that we're doing, but we have some questions. Go ahead, read them.
So Beth wants to know, what pistol do you recommend for women? And Kevin also wants to know, what is your favorite gun you own?
Favorite gun that I own and what pistol? All right. So for women, it's hard to get away from either a Glock 17, which is a full-size gun, or an M&P 9mm 2.0. Both of those 9mm guns. I recommend 9mm guns. Starting off with a full-size pistol. If you don't own one, this is actually an M&P. This is actually a Glock 19, but a Glock 17. I don't know if I say 19 or 17.
You said 17.
17. So start off with a full-size gun. It'll give you more to hang on to. You'll be able to control it more. The larger the gun, the less the recoil. So those are the two guns I typically recommend to almost anybody. And that, between the two, is a matter of preference. I personally, both guns are amazing. I personally like the M&P. I feel like it's a little bit more ergonomic. It fits better in my hand. It works better, in my opinion, for me. I like them both. Both are excellent guns. Both are very reliable, going to work for you. My favorite gun. You know, I don't know that I have a favorite gun. Honestly.
It's hard to choose.
A favorite gun. It is hard to choose. You know what? I do. I have. So this is probably my favorite gun. All right. So I'm going to do a 3-point check. Make sure this gun's clear. It's on safe. We're going to lock the bolt to the rear. We're going to check the chamber, the mag well, and the bolt face. All right. So this is an M&P. M&P. This is. a PWS AR-15, and it is it's actually piston driven.
No, it is, but I can't, but StreamYard's not. All right, so not sure what happened. I'm back on. We had a oh, there's Gary. Look at him back. Hey, man.
I missed you. Oh God, we got some feedback going on somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know where it's coming from. It's coming from your mic, Gary.
You sure?
If I mute you, it goes away. You're muted.
All
There
right.
you go.
Let me
So
turn this down.
our whole network connection to the whole building dumped.
I tried to keep them entertained while you were gone.
Yeah, I think it went very well. From what I understand, we were in the black. I actually grabbed my cell phone and jumped out. I could see the stream happening. But yeah, that's the beauty of live, guys. Is stuff gets crazy when you go live. I think, did you have Summer on for a bit?
I did.
There you go.
Now I got over $100 for every minute. Oh, jeez. I don't know why all of a sudden this is doing this. They turned the volume down on that.
That's crazy. We're getting this figured out, guys. We're coming to what will be the end of our. I think he's good there. Craziness. So, anyhow, the beauty of live shows is that stuff gets crazy and things go sideways sometimes. But we're coming up on an hour here.
Yeah. So what was the last thing anybody heard? Does anybody?
You said you were going to sing the Star Spangled Banner. No.
Summer.
Exactly. We need more than $100. But
Is there anybody asking about it?
yeah, Oh, the last thing I saw questions, favorite gun. I think you guys were talking about that.
All right. Yeah, so I was talking about my favorite gun is definitely this PWS. And this is a piston-driven AR.
We got to be careful, Gary. Handling
Yeah.
a gun on a live broadcast can get us shut down.
Okay. That was not a real one.
Yeah, there you go. So I ran into that I ran into that 2 weeks ago doing a video. The minute I picked up, I was actually loading and unloading a safe. The minute my hands touched the gun, they flagged us as
Inappropriate content.
well, they flagged it as copyright. That's the only thing they could use is violating a copyright law. They don't want somebody discharging a firearm live, I think, is what they're trying to avoid.
Fair enough. So I'm a big fan of PWS. That rifle right there, it's a piston ran gun, and I had over 40,000 rounds through that at least. I just replaced the upper on that and the barrel, but that has been my favorite gun.
You have 40,000 rounds through one barrel?
Through one barrel, easy. And I honestly, I think it's probably closer to 55, 60, but we're gonna go with 40 to be on a really, really conservative side.
Now, do you keep round count on barrels of guns you use a lot?
My precision guns, I try to. I don't always, and because what ends up happening, if they were my personal guns, where I was the only one using them without a doubt, and just like we talked about in the long range course, I would keep a round count. I keep a close round count because most of the guns end up being student guns. So we got multiple people using them, but I keep a general idea of how many rounds are going through those. When it comes to an AR, and that one in particular, I basically know how many AR courses I've ran that year. I know pretty much how many people have used that gun if I loaned it out or something like that. So just based off of that is where I'm coming up with that number over 5 years, 6 years.
Got it. It's interesting. I don't unfortunately shoot enough to have to worry about that. It's been a difficult year for me. I mean, COVID took a lot and ammo issues. Hey, Gary, are they selling small rifle primers yet, or is that still all being allocated to actual round manufacturing? Do you know?
I haven't seen those kick up yet.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
As far as I know, there's still definitely a shortage without a doubt.
Yeah, that's a pain in the ass. That it's the world we live in. I kind of think that'll probably over the next 6 months. I think isn't SIG bringing ammunition manufacturing online? I've
heard so many rumors, Tom, from so many different companies as far as that goes. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe.
I am too. I'm going to be bringing ammunition back online at some point. I think you are too. I don't know.
Yeah, I've got the most unused reloading rigs behind me here.
I think that's a pretty easy thing to say to keep a lot of people watching every newsletter you put out, or, pretty good marketing tool, right?
Yeah, it's always what's new. It's keep it going. So, guys, we're coming up on an hour here. Gary, for people to get to you, what's the best way to find you? And guys, I'll tell you something. His YouTube channel's got some great content on it.
Yeah, so Paramount Tactical is our YouTube channel. We'd love for you to go check that out. Definitely our website. Obviously, go check out the courses that we have there. That's what we're really about is training. We'd love to have you come out. We'd love to meet you in person. Love to do some training with you. As far as the items on our store, I never wanted to get into retail. I just wanted to provide training, right? But it ended up becoming kind of a necessary evil. But I will say the only items that are on our store, items that we have personally tested, we use, we believe in, And to me, the litmus test is, can I recommend an item to my military and law enforcement clients and feel good about it, right? Can they bet their life? So that's the items that are on our store. That's what's there. So yeah, we'd love to have you there. Facebook, Paramount Tactical Solutions. And then for Instagram, it's Paramount_Tactical.
Well, thank you very much, Gary. I appreciate you coming on, man. It's
Yeah, no, it was fun.
it's I've enjoyed the courses and working together. So, guys, we're gonna wrap up today. Apologize for the tech, and I guess my mic was hot when I was disconnected for a while. So there may, if I dropped an F-bomb to anybody, I don't think I did. But if I got a text message on my phone when we were down, it says, "Hey, your mic is hot." So there's a hot mic moment out there that can be immortalized. We'll see.
Well, what's so weird was that my feed was still running, and we're running my feed through your guys' system onto YouTube, but somehow it dropped.
Right, but that's we're running. I use a StreamYard as a service, so it's fed into StreamYard and then goes out from there. So if I go down, the stream continues.
Gotcha.
So it doesn't require me as the host to be there. Once I set it up, I can set it up and take myself off and let a bunch of guys just talk and have a show. It's and I just learned this just now.
Pantomiming. I was
It's
making balloon animals. It was a good time.
There you go. All right, Gary. I will. I'll talk to you. You're heading out of Dodge on Saturday, correct?
I am. Yep.
Okay. So we'll give me a shout when you're back in town because we have some things to talk about. And guys, anybody have any questions or anything at all? You guys know how to get a hold of us. Get a hold of Gary if you need to. I encourage everyone to, if you're so inclined, take a class. Take a Paramount Tactical class. It'll be one of your best weekends of the year. I guarantee you.
Yep, I guarantee that as well. No, Tom, we really appreciate you having us on, and always enjoy partnering with you on stuff. But yeah, till next time, folks. Stay armed, stay ready, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks a lot, Gary. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks.